So you know what? I have a hot take for you guys. We've been going too hard on Ian Garry. We've been going in on him, making fun of him too much for too long now, and it's time we accept the fact for what he really is. Ian Garry, to me, has turned into this Twitter warrior pretty much who just uses strictly buzzwords, and we shouldn't take what he says too seriously, and I don't think we have been doing that for the past 5 months, but I think it's now more than ever that Ian Garry looks like a complete idiot sometimes. And he recently called out Sean Strickland in an interview, and it's like, bro, do you really understand what you're talking about? He called Strickland irrelevant, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. But I want to go through this interview. I want to break it down and kind of tackle it piece by piece. So let's go through Ian Garry's interview right now.
For the media, and sometimes, like you said, a bit of the motive, would you say you're one of the heroes, or would you say you're one of the villains when it comes to promotion?
I don't give a fuck what people want to call me, a hero or a villain. I don't care what you want to do. As long as my hand gets raised and people are entertained and people are talking about me, then I'm doing something right. The truth is, there isn't a single fighter at the moment who's been more talked about. There's not a single person whose family has been more talked about at the moment. I'm number 10 in the world. I'm nowhere near the top. I'm nowhere near the peak of my career. And everybody's talking about me, my wife, my kids, my family, where we're going, what we're doing. I'm definitely doing something right. So whether you think it's hero or villain, either way, people are talking.
Now, for starters, I partly agree with Ian Garry. He is being one of the most talked about guys in the UFC right now, but I don't think it's because he's doing something right. I don't think Ian Garry is this mastermind, megamind level guy who just knows everything, who is the master of media. I don't think he has a maxed out intelligence stat, is what I'm trying to say here. And I won't even use the word popular for Ian Garry. He's not popular. Popular insinuates that you are liked by people. Ian Garry right now is not liked by anybody. He truly is the villain. So the hero part, cut that shit out. You're not the hero. You're definitely the villain. But you're not really even a villain. I think a villain is too much credit for Ian Garry. Ian Garry is more of a laughingstock. He's more of a lolcow, so to speak. Nobody's out here really like hating Ian Garry because he's a villain. People are hating Ian Garry because whenever you hear him talk in interviews, it's always kind of cringe because of the way he acts and his Conor McGregor wannabe type personality. Whenever he brings up points about Sean Strickland, there's not really a ton of evidence to back up what he's saying. He's kind of saying it just to help him cope with his own beliefs and to help him deal with what's happening in his current situation involving all the UFC fan base. So I don't really find Ian Garry to be the most credible person to listen to whenever you are watching his interviews. He kind of just says things to bolster his own confidence and to bolster his own personality. And I think it's all a ploy just to help him cope with everybody calling out him, calling out his wife, and calling out his family. Now, that is one aspect that is true. Ian Garry is being called out a lot, and I do think he's under a lot of stress. Why do you think he pulled out of 296? Bro just simply couldn't handle the stress of being on stage in front of Colby Covington, in front of Vicente Luque, in front of pretty much anybody who would call him out for being a, you know that word I'm trying to say here, but anybody who would call him out for a situation. They were there on that press conference, and he couldn't handle the stress of it, and he ended up getting pneumonia because of it. Let's be honest here. Pneumonia wasn't just because he was whatever the natural effects of pneumonia happened. I think he was so stressed out that his body just shut down on him. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to slander Ian Garry here. I don't know for a fact if that was his cause of pneumonia, but I think it's pretty plausible to assume that in his biggest fight week of his career, when all eyes are on him, when all the criticism is coming towards his face all at once, that he would be so stressed out that he might get pneumonia, that his body might just shut down on him. So I don't find that to be a bad assumption.
Is it ever difficult to deal with it when people want to say negative things and maybe, go more personal because they feel like you are starting to take some shots at them?
Listen, we can shoot shots at each other all day long, me and another bloke, but the minute he mentions... Here's the thing. Here's the two things that I'll point out to you, right? My wife was called a pedophile by Sean Strickland. No woman ever deserves to be called that, right? That's the truth. My son, the people that follow Sean Strickland, commented on a couple of my photos at the very start of all this hate saying, is the kid even his? I should never have to hear that.
Now, hold on, Ian Garry. You didn't finish your statement there. You said no woman should be called that, but if she is, then she should be called one. I think anybody who does bad things like that in this world deserve to have that title and label put on them. But I am nitpicking here. I don't think Ian Garry's wife does those sort of things. I don't think she is that specifically. I think her and Ian definitely did meet when he was of age. So I don't think that label is the correct label to put on here. I know I'm nitpicking a little bit here, but that one just felt kind of weird because he didn't really finish his statement. He kind of just said that no one deserves to be called that, or no woman deserves to be called that, which I do know what he means in this situation, but in the grand scheme of things, he should probably finish his statement and make it more clear, because people will take that out of context, like I am kind of, but I'm not really.
And I'll get mine back. I'll thump the fucking mouth off Sean Strickland one day, and there'll be nothing he can do about it. And I'll talk to him, I'll dance in his face, I'll do whatever I want, because the truth is, when we get locked into that cage one day, he's never going to be able to deal with me. But the truth is, I have a target on my back. I have the ability to stand here and shoot shots at anyone I want, because this is my job, and they have the opportunity in return. So for me, when you attack people in my circle when they don't deserve it, that's out of line. And look, Sean Strickland is not the fucking voice we should all be listening to. Do you know what I mean? He's deeply, deeply indebted with trauma, and he should just be silent and try to deal with his own personal issues himself. And that's mainly where it all came from.
Now let's unpack this real quick. Ian Garry said that Sean Strickland should be silent because all he's talking about is his trauma, or what he's saying is all rooted in trauma. And I couldn't disagree more. Listen, I don't agree with Sean Strickland 100% of the time. I don't agree with all of his takes, but he should be allowed to say whatever he wants. And he does say whatever he wants. And sometimes what he says is right, whether it comes off in a vulgar or bad way. Sometimes what he's saying is the truth. And saying he should be silent because it's trauma is, I think, pretty messed up, because anybody who has trauma and wants to outline their life or outline what they want to say, they should be quiet because it's their trauma talking, I think is pretty bad. Now, obviously, I think in Ian Garry's case here, he's more so referring to the fact how Sean Strickland is calling out his family. But again, he can say whatever he wants as long as it's not defamation, slander, or anything that would get him in trouble with U.S. law.
I don't give time to this negativity anymore. I turned off the comments on my Instagram because I can protect the peace. I don't have time for other people's opinions anymore.
Now, this is what I don't respect about Ian Garry. Turning off your comments, I think, is a silly move and a bad play, and it's going to be bad for your business. You should allow people to interact with your social media. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, it's still interactions, and it still gets your name out there. Shutting people out of your social media entirely makes you irrelevant. If people can't comment on your stuff, if people can't talk about you on your stuff, then that makes your profile or whatever your social media is irrelevant, because people won't care to come back because they can't say anything. I have a very small YouTube channel and I get a good amount of hate. I think it's pretty safe to say people don't agree with what I have to say a lot of the time, and it's vice versa. But therefore, should I not allow them to interact with my videos? No, because that is what brings in people to my channel, being able to interact with me, being able to call me an idiot whenever they want to call me an idiot, or being able to praise me whenever they want to praise me. And when people comment underneath your social media, it allows for different point of views to get across as well. If you want more people to like you, you need more people defending you in your own comment section. Now, obviously, this is the internet and people are very headstrong about their opinions, and I don't think a simple Instagram comment is going to change somebody's mind entirely, but you never know. So if you want people to have a better outlook on you, having your social media open is what's going to benefit you the most, and having your name out there and selling more pay-per-views, because this is the fight business, man. You make money off your name and your fight ability. I think it's more so, I think your name carries 70% of the money you make, and 30% is your fighting ability and how highly you're ranked. So Ian Garry, turn your comments back on, unprivate your Twitter. It's going to be better for you in the long run.
With Strickland, obviously, he's a middleweight and you're a welterweight, so do you think that fight is even going to happen in the future?
Yeah, for sure. You ain't, there's no fucking man on the planet that talks about my wife or my family like that and doesn't get it eventually. The truth is, he's never going to be relevant again. He's lost the belt, he's lost the interest. There's a point at which I'll jump in on a short notice fight and I'll dance all over him. I'm far too quick, I'm far too talented, and he'll just be missing.
Okay, Ian Garry, let's calm down a little bit here. This is a complete, utter lie, falsehood, whatever you want to say. Sean Strickland is not irrelevant because he lost a belt. I think right now he is more relevant than any other fighter in the UFC right now. I want to compare their engagements real quick. I want to provide some evidence to this Ian Garry claim that Sean Strickland is apparently irrelevant. He has lost 50% of his relevancy since he lost the belt. Let's just go through this real quick, man. I brought receipts to this. This is Sean Strickland, I think, trying to do a board slide on a rail, and he just completely fell on his ass, but this got 52K likes one day ago. Okay, next one. This is him just talking about Jake Paul, I think. 258,000 likes. Next one. A picture of Jake Paul, 125,000 likes. Next one. Him in a fucking, what is that? I don't know what that even is. Is that John Wick? Machine Gun Kelly, him calling out Daywalker, my bad, I don't know what Daywalker is, but 250,000 likes pretty much. Him fighting Sneeko, him whooping Sneeko's ass, got him 270,000 likes. Sean Strickland is not irrelevant in this sport whatsoever. So let's go through Ian Garry's real quick. So here we go, we got Ian Garry's up right now. This was 3 hours ago, 1,800 likes. This was 16 hours ago, him with D-Rod, 1,500 likes, 1,600 to be nice to him, 16,000, I'm sorry. Up next, this is him walking with his kid. 3,500 likes 19 hours ago with Jeff Neal in it, the guy who he's fighting. This was a clip from Embedded. This should get some interactions with it. Next one, 5,300 likes one day ago. A picture of him. The next one, this is him training at Shoot the Box on Embedded, I think, as well. 15K likes. This guy's interactions are nowhere near Sean Strickland's. Just going on Sean Strickland's Twitter, I mean, this guy is blowing up. Look at this. His last tweet, February 13th, which was like, 2 days ago at this point, 913,000 views. The next one, 4.8 million views. The next one, 615,000 views. This one with Bryce Hall in it has 5.7 million views. Sean Strickland is more relevant than he's ever been ever in his career. So Ian Garry, the claim that Sean Strickland is irrelevant now since he lost the belt is rooted in absolute nothing. I'm sorry, Ian Garry, but you're just flat out wrong in this situation. But you know what, Ian Garry? It's okay. We can't all be right. I'm not always right. We say things sometimes that aren't right, but we think are right at the time, and that's just what happens. But calling Sean Strickland irrelevant now, I think, is a tone-deaf sort of statement. But I don't know. Let me know your opinion in the comment section down below. That's kind of all I have for this Ian Garry interview. There's a bit more, but it's just kind of whatever. I'm not really going to dive into that stuff. But yeah, Ian Garry, a bit delusional right now. Not really knowing what's actually going on in his career is pretty evident by what he's saying. So that's all I have for you guys today. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon for notifications. I'm out of here. Peace.